Welcome back, my people, to the PM Hour. All the fans that's been rocking with us, you know we love it. Y'all been here with us and we love it, we support. We're going to keep on doing our thing, dropping all the time. And we got another one for y'all, so we're going to get right into it like we always do. My name is Patrick.
I'm Terry.
Oh, yes, and I'm Garrett. Oh, and it's all about the melanin, y'all.
All right, so what we're talking about now is something that's been circling around the issue mill for the past couple of weeks, and it involves Patrisse Cullors from Black Lives Matter and her purchase in Topanga Canyon and everything that's been going on with that, and is she appropriating funds? But we're not going to take it there because people have been talking about it like that. But what we're talking about is basically, is Black Lives Matter coming to an end, or is Black Lives Matter falling apart? I mean, it seems like that there's been so many things going on as of late within the past year or so that's highlighting the basic negatives about Black Lives Matter. And is it really doing what it's supposed to do? I know they feel like Black Lives Matter, but in the actual tangible, making things happen, it seems like they're like kind of not doing their job. You know, the only time I see Black Lives Matter is when people are protesting. That's just me. That's the only time I see his workings. But,
no, that's true.
And we have a video for y'all that'll show
it. It is clout chasing. Anytime you have activists, people, we don't even know where these people come from, that's be speaking on behalf of our children. We never asked them to represent us. And then you rep the benefits with movie deals and book deals, and you develop a platform off our children. I'm still building a center for my son. And Black Lives Matter got the nerve to say they got $90 million after 6 months or something. So as I'm building and still fighting for justice for my son, because we still got a 10 months left to get perjury charges on Timothy Loman on a state level. Those type of people, Shine Kings, Tamika Mallory, Patrisse Cullors, y'all make it very hard for us.
Yeah. And that's Tamir Rice's mom, right?
That's Tamir Rice's
she's
mom.
Really been putting in work. She ain't forgot her son. She's been putting in work trying to make things happen. And it seems like it's becoming more difficult for her when a group like Black Lives Matter organization is supposed to be helping her out and get her further than where she is right now, But again, she mentioned all these names like I aforementioned, Patrisse Cullors, Tamika Mallory and all the other ones, and the funds and just how they're looking. They just not have been looking good, No. I mean, that's what we're talking about. It haven't been looking good for Black Lives Matter, and they're supposed to be addressing something, and
right.
So
where are they? Are they like avalanche chasers? Is that what we're saying? Are we
avalanche chasers. In this regard, they're chasing whatever black issue comes up next, and they can just get more funds.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, not to jump off topic, but we kind of talked about this a little bit before. We were saying, when you think of Black Lives Matter, right? You think of how they impact the community. And when we think of that Black Lives Matter, we think of protests. Yeah. You said that earlier.
Yeah.
Protests. Mm-hmm. Do you have any kind of reference for Black Lives Matter beyond protests? No. Like, how do they affect your particular lives? How they affect your lives in the community? Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? I think that's what people are trying to grapple with right now.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the importance of Black Lives Matter in my community?
What has changed?
Exactly. And you think about, how we're saying Black Panther, mm-hmm. right? They, the media and, non-Black folks, when they talk about Black Panther back then, mm-hmm. It was all the negative stuff about Black Panther. But you could not get people in the community to think negative about Black Panther. I mean, until they kill, and all the propaganda. But before all that, you couldn't get them to think negative about Black Panther because they were making a difference in the community. They were meeting a basic need. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue with Black Lives Matter. Our community is dealing with so much right now. You got the COVID. You got, a lot of people struggling with their jobs as a result of the COVID. A lot of people died. Mm-hmm. A lot of people lost their jobs. Mm-hmm. A lot of frontline workers have been African Americans, and so not only
economic restraints been huge on the Black community.
Right. Not only that, a lot of us live in disadvantaged communities. Yeah. You have some areas. I think we did a story. We talked about a story about, you know, a community where they don't even have really running water and their sewage.
Flint is still dealing with their problem.
Flint
People
is
know they're still dealing with that problem.
So my
Crazy.
thing is,
That's
how
insanity.
is Black Lives Matter having $90 million or pulling in $90 million at a rally? They probably got more than that. But you still, what was your purpose? Right?
You know,
because you still have these communities that's struggling. And I think that was her point. And I think a lot of communities are kind of looking at that. Like, Black Lives Matter, what are you doing?
And I think justifiably so, you know, because, you know what, maybe from what you're saying, give me this idea. Maybe we're giving Black Lives Matter too much credit. Because would we have needed a Black Lives Matter if the NAACP has been doing what they're supposed to be doing? Would a Black Lives Matter even need to be here? Let's go there. And I know they've been getting funded for years. So they got way more money than Black Lives Matter. Where are they? Well, I don't remember last time.
Stronger
NAACP
leadership. Because you could say Black Lives Matter, you know, they're new. And maybe they need some more structure, the leadership. But NAACP should already have that.
They've been established, a long established organization.
Right.
They should have been doing monumental things.
Exactly.
And they were created to address all these things. Whatever. None of these organizations
are still fighting for some of the stuff we're still fighting
that
for.
you're supposed to address. Because now, in my opinion, the NAACP isn't about Black people anymore. It's about people of color. And those who are aware, people of color, not just Black people anymore.
Well, you know what?
Exactly.
You always got that ones that always want to try to combat you, right? And they always say that, you know, innocent doctrine that the NAACP had in its birth maybe started out that way, but they always try to they always tried to gear out to other nationalities as well. You know, they always tried to stand on that like diversity tip. You know what I mean? That's why they always used the colored, and they never really went
Color
African.
people,
they never changed the word to African. And they never made it black either, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we are going to have a discussion between black and African on this show, so y'all just stay tuned in that because we're going to have one of those just to say. But just a real tip, my whole point is just to say is that, you know, Black Lives Matter start in the house. And I've been saying that since day one when we always been talking about Black Lives Matter. I've always been saying that when it comes to our community, that, you know, we should always... We are the ones that should be trying to get together and come to ourselves and get these communities together because we are the ones that are living through it. The idea is that when we sit here and then we try to, you know, attach ourselves to all these organizations, the problem comes is that it's just too many chefs in the kitchen. I guess you could kind of say, right? So the idea is there's no direction. Is what my point is. That's like the point you made. This is why the Panthers are so successful because the idea with the way the Panthers operated, it was a collective mindset. And we don't really have that collective mindset when it comes to these all new organizations. They always want to kind of adapt to other cultures and adapt to everyone. Why? We always kind of, and I'm not really saying that that's the premises when it comes to a lot of these organizations, but the idea is that we are just so kind of keen to always want to show that we're just like non-violent or we're non-aggressive, and it's like, you know, our blackness is soft in some kind of way.
Inclusive.
We're not harsh.
Yeah.
Very inclusive. Our blackness is inclusive. That's a better word. Thank you. But the point is this. If a lot of these organizations were just to focus on just staying pan-African, right? Just focus on just being African. Focus on of trying to teach our history, trying to learn where we come from. What are we really fighting for? You call them ambulance chasers because they're only really going after, you know, like you said, the most
dramatic ones, the protests, the big
situation that happened at
yeah.
the time, right? If it was more on trying to not necessarily re-educate, but maybe like reintroduce this Africanness
Our
to black people now.
struggle.
Absolutely. Then these kind of ideas will always get tackled. We will always be in that drive of striving for even the smallest things. It even comes to the fact that we are always consumers to every other race. You know, it comes into more of this black
That's
ownership.
a big part of it too.
Into black building, right? And that's my whole thing, man. We're so keen on just trying to open that door. We need to just keep it African, y'all. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, and we definitely need to do, you know, that because, some history on the NAACP, people don't know from the start, from the beginning, the heads of it was not completely all black. You know, there were definitely whites and Jewish people who are heads of NAACP from its foundation, from its start. You know, Black Lives Matter from the beginning of it, you know, the larger funding didn't come from black people. It came from outside black people, whites, Jewish, you know, everyone else and stuff, you know. So in America, it's kind of difficult to what you just alluded, brother. It's kind of difficult to just have just a black thing. America tries to disrupt anything like that. I think they've learned from when you have the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther come along where it's just black organizations. They don't want to see anything like that anymore. So their plan of attack is to see when you see something like that, if it's starting out black, interject themselves right away. And even though they project to you that they're coming from good means and good places, like, you know, we're trying to help the situation. We're trying to help the situation. That's how they project it to the mass media. But I'm sorry. Anytime you include white people, it's a mess. It's always going to be ruined. We can't include them in a damn thing. That's what black people have to understand.
Well, it's not going to be in your favor. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what black people have to stand, though. We have to understand that. We can't include them in anything else for our own advancement. And it's difficult in America. We're speaking from America because they have powers over. They have economic, political, and position over us. So they have the funds to interject themselves in whatever we're going to do. And because we're economically depleted and at the bottom, well, then their monies definitely is an advantage to get into our whole situation. So we have to be strong in that aspect. That's what Black Lives Matter is facing, because from the beginning they've been disrupted and other races interjected themselves in it, even through good means, that it gets away from the idea of what these organizations are supposed to serve in the first place, which is the needs of black people. And then what you see the whole race, black people and white people in the country, are frustrated because we circle back to the same things because nothing is solved in the first place. Nothing is solved in the first place. So we're wondering why nothing is changing, why we did all this effort. And, there's shows, even certain white people, they're talking about, they're tired of hearing these things. Some white people are tired of hearing black this and black that and black, get black people to a certain place and close the wealth gap and all this stuff like that. And at some point they get frustrated as why I thought we addressed this. Why is this still a problem? Because they don't understand it wasn't addressed in the first place.
It was never
addressed in the first place. All we did was write books, make movies, marched, protest, made picket signs. Nothing tangible whatsoever. Nothing truly tangible whatsoever. Even last thing I'm going to say, even one of the other things we can point to besides marching that Black Lives Matter gave was supposed to be body cams. That's the only other thing I can point to. But the body cams still they're still shooting us down. And some of the body cams fall off mysteriously.
Having body cams even before that, they just pushed it a little more.
They just push a little more, but they mysteriously fall off. They mysteriously fall off or malfunction, or it's not turned on. Oh my God! You know what I'm saying? So how effective is that? But is that it? The whole Black Lives movement was about that, getting body cams, or a couple of marches. I don't think so. So is it falling apart? Is it needed? Do we want it?
Falling apart, I don't know about falling apart, because I think it will get propped up, because right now it's like the main thing that you could look at and say, oh, black people, Black Lives Matter, So I think because of that, I think it's just ineffective. That's the thing. And so if you want to say ineffective equals falling apart, okay. But I think something can be ineffective and be around for a long time.
I would agree with that, because to say falling apart, that means there was a structure
there
before.
That with the NAACP.
No. So to say Black Lives Matter would assume that there's a structure there before, then it fell apart. But no, you're saying it was never a structure there in the first place.
No,
that's why
it was never. I don't think they had the chance to really develop into whatever the idea initially was going to be. Like you said, they got flooded. You said in the beginning, whenever there's any kind of activity towards empowering, black people, then you kind of have to, I guess how, people in power see it. You got to get in there and flood with donations and different things like that, so you can kind of like squelch, the influence of power. Right. So if you're already doing that in the beginning, then before Black Lives Matter was able to kind of get a good structure and become more militant, more national or whatever.
They got too big too fast.
If it was ever even going that way, it sort of got,
They got too big too fast before they knew what they were.
Meaning that you got a lot of funding from very influential or, certain type of people.
But the attention too, the attention.
Yeah. If that's what that means, then that's what happened. And then it became like pop. You know how you have like, just to kind of have a reference, how you have like an underground artist, or maybe you have like, a rap, or whatever, something like that's underground. But then when it gets too mainstream or pop, it gets a little diluted. You get it because you're like, okay, you need the money, so I get what you're doing. But that soul or that thing that you started with, like, it's not there anymore.
It's not there anymore. It's gone.
Exactly. And that's kind of like Black Lives Matter, where they're like, we got to water this down a little bit. It'll still be Black Lives Matter, but the people that really know what it's about know that it's not the real Black Lives.
Just like a lot of our organizations. It's not the Black Lives Matter that you
need. And the key to what you need is how much they are in your community.
Yeah.
And that's how you know. It's not for you. If it's not in your community, if you can't say,
Yeah.
you know what? Nah, I rock with Black Lives Matter because this is how they step up for me. This is how I can see them in my.
What you're saying.
If you can't really say that, if a lot of people are like Black Lives Matter and you equate them with like protests and that's it, they're not effective.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like we see it, but we don't see it. We see it, but we can't touch it. You know, it's there. Only when a tragedy happens, you see it coming on full force.
And where does protest alone get you?
So Black Lives Matter is waiting for the next person to get killed unjustly to be seen.
Well,
it's kind of that thing too. So it's like that's only
huge to really say that.
No, let's say that though. No, let's say that though. No, but that's what I'm saying. Let's say that though, because that's kind of where listen to what it is. We said we only see them doing protests, and what the most protests they come out for is this. So okay. Whatever y'all think, this is our opinions on it, you know, and a lot of these issues come up, you know, and we're everywhere. The PM Hour, we're there. We're gonna talk about discussions, you know. We ain't like these other people, you know. We do all these, you know. We're everywhere, you know. Just listen. That's all you gotta do.